This is episode 130 of the 4Ps, and it's an historic one.
The 4Ps. Professional. Political. Practical. Personal.
It's Wednesday morning early after Election Day. I'm tired, so let's just start with something political. The thing political. Well, it's Wednesday morning, and as most people predicted, we still don't have a final result in the presidential election. Overall, things have been disappointing. I will admit that as yesterday progressed, I started to think about three different types of approaches to this week's 4Ps, like how candidates probably prepare for acceptance and concession speeches. And there were three scenarios we had to prepare for, right? A Biden victory, another shocking Trump victory, or the lack of a resolution by the time we all woke up this morning. And over the last few days, I was grateful for the 50 pounds of leftover Halloween candy in our house because it really did help, but now I'm beginning to regret that. Fast forward to about 7 p.m. last night, and I was coming into it more optimistic than pessimistic. Despite learnings from 2016, I trusted what the majority of polls were saying with respect to swing states and even the Senate races. But as the night progressed, it became clear that all of the ways that Joe Biden could win were quickly dissipating. The early votes that leaned Biden and created early leads in some possible flip states quickly went away, right? Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio. The early vote leads did not hold. So we're waiting. We're counting. We're following the ups and downs. The good, right? Going into that candy bag. The bad, opening a Starburst and realizing that you've got a yellow and an orange. I went to bed, or tried to go to bed last night, with a terrible feeling. As I was laying there around 11 p.m., checking Twitter and checking all the websites, knowing that Arizona was still likely to go for Biden, it became clear, as again predicted, that it was going to come down to Michigan and Pennsylvania, right? Those would be the focal points. Biden may still pull this out. I'm just not as confident this morning, even with these tightening races in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. I didn't sleep much. My mind was racing, waiting for updated results, thinking about, I don't know, just how the Democratic Party is clearly too splintered and not enough organized to defeat the worst president of our lifetime, a terrible human being who is tearing the country in half, thinking about why more of us don't denounce hate and racism and cruelty. I thought we were a better nation, and it's just painful to think about the fact that we may not be. I don't understand how it's this close with the way the president has handled and mishandled COVID and other related failures. I just don't know how we're going to cope if he wins. No matter what happens, though, we've learned that there is a loud, dangerous minority predisposed to violence and vigilantism that we should all fear. But they're also aligned with a much larger, more silent, yet equally dangerous group of people who are geographically situated in enough states to create an electoral college plurality. I'm genuinely afraid that the soul of our country is indefinitely damaged. A colleague of mine based in Germany has said that the world is all literally laughing at the U.S. And without an America to lead, the entire planet would be in serious peril. And I think he's right. This is going to come down to potentially conservative-leaning courts that will determine the outcome of this election. And the legitimacy of our Constitution is failing. It just does not protect the ethos of most of us. But here we are. It's Wednesday morning. We have to get our kids ready for school and go about our lives. And you think about our kids and their future. We have to put on a brave face for them. We have to be positive and optimistic for our kids because they are going to mirror us. They are going to watch us, and they are going to react. We can't scare them. We still have to set an example. And no matter what, bring them into this fight. because we're doing this for them. It's all we can do. Something personal. I've spent much of my focused and unfocused time over the past few weeks listening to the new Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band album. It's called Letter to You. And I know this isn't a place that you typically come to for music reviews or opinions, but there is one musical focus that I feel qualified and entitled to share commentary on, and that is Springsteen music. I will say this up front, that it is the best full band album since The Rising, now 18 years ago. What qualifies me to say this? Well, the 70 plus times that I've seen him, both with or without the band in concert, or some other live performance over the past 35 years, should be enough to establish my credentials. So what do I like about it? The music, which is about getting older, loss, acceptance, but also a continued commitment to fighting the good fight. And that resonates at this moment. So context plus musicianship. So I strongly recommend listening not once but twice straight through. Once first for the complete story, and then really as just kind of background for the sounds as maybe you're doing other things. I was truly hoping for a tour that came along with this album next year, but 2022 seems like the best chance we have now. I hope that they all stay well and healthy and fit to put on a stadium tour now in 2 years, because I need to experience this with my children at least once in our collective lives together. And based on the lessons learned from the album, we have to take these opportunities whenever we can get them. Something practical. There are many skeptics and doubters out there when it comes to Bitcoin and blockchain alternative currency. I've been a slow but steady convert since first trying and learning how this all works a few years ago. So far, my initial investments, even over the last 3 or 4 years, are up about 3x. And the fact that we're in this period of uncertainty where Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is on the rise is indicative of the fact that I think I've made some good investments. So whether you're new to this, cryptocurrency and all that, or you've been at it a while, here's a really practical tip. Check out the website lolli.com, Lolli.com. It is a plugin and an app that sits on top of your browser that when you shop online and buy from this huge list of different retailers and e-tailers, it automatically saves and puts away a percentage of your spend into Bitcoin, into a wallet. So for this one, there's actually no risk. So if you're going to buy something, anything, right, from Nike.com or Land's End or Best Buy or, again, a long list of retailers, why not get a small percentage back in Bitcoin and see how it goes? I'm excited about them. I'm hopeful that more people join in, more companies join in as partners. People start mining and saving and trading in crypto, because given the state of our economy and the uncertainty with our collective future, it is potentially far safer as far as just risk than the stock market is at this moment. Lolli, Lolli. And something professional. And with the 2020 election, at least from a campaign perspective, now in the rearview mirror, Facebook's role in our democratic process as a platform for sharing information, as well as an advertising channel, is long going to be studied and discussed and debated. But very few of us are too young to remember when Facebook was a social network, an actual connection facilitator. My own usage has certainly evolved for certain, but I'd actually estimate that anywhere from 75% to maybe even 80% of my interactions and engagement and activity on Facebook actually happen within one or two of the Facebook groups created for my local town, the parents and the families to interact. It's like a message board. In total, it's probably only about 7,000 total people that make up this core group, this connection, with only about I don't know, 5 to 10% of that group even being active on a regular basis. So when you think about it, I've actually only left my town a handful of times in the past 7 months. So that digital community and the actual community overlap. The restrictions on advertising in it and even the promotion of local businesses has been pretty stringent. But just last week, the admins archived the primary group for what I assume is a number of reasons, right? Pre-election, just control to limit divisiveness, but also because one local resident who's clearly suffering from some mental issues posed a physical threat to others, and it actually divided this community in terms of how to even just deal and talk about this as a mental health and as a physical threat issue. Now we find out that Facebook is actually testing a new feature for neighbors and smaller social networks, whether that's a group, right, a filtering target feature, or a self-selected engagement network. I'm not really sure. It remains to be seen. But based on the initial test that's taking place just in Calgary, Canada at the moment, users can create special profiles that share limited information with their neighbors. Right? It's contained within a smaller subset. And while Facebook itself will probably use detailed location data that it collects just to serve more relevant ads, I have no doubt, that's going to be really powerful for all of us. It's called Neighborhoods, at least in the beta. And it's going to compete with Nextdoor and other message boards. Nextdoor is growing, but it still hasn't achieved mainstream success. And within these Facebook neighborhoods that I've seen, a welcome screen for the feature tells us that, and reminds users really to remember 5 rules: to be inclusive, kind, to keep it local, keep it clean, and to share valuable, meaningful information. Users can invite friends to join and are prompted to answer questions about their neighborhood and share pictures as a means of ensuring that it stays local and stays limited. So are people less likely to be terrible to each other in smaller groups where they actually have some accountability and know each other? Maybe. But I've already got proof that the same damaging dynamics could easily repeat themselves in neighborhoods and neighborhood-focused enclaves already on Facebook. So as far as advertisers go, we should already be thinking about how localized, targeted messaging can work. But instead of buyer beware, it's as much about seller beware with Facebook now moving forward.